Welcome to Roast Magazine's Interview with an Author. I'm Connie Blumhardt, founder and publisher of Roast Magazine. Roast Magazine is a bi-monthly trade journal that covers where coffee is grown, how it's roasted, and how it's brewed, all from a technical standpoint. We also publish daily coffee news, a news site covering all things coffee. The point of this interview is to showcase the amazing writers that contribute to Roast Magazine and the importance of the topics that we feature in the magazine. I'm pleased to welcome Ann Cooper, author of When Technology Fails, which appears in the May-June 2023 issue of Roast. You can find the full article on our website or listen to the article via our audio articles, also found on our website, roastmagazine.com. Hello, Ann.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell our readers who you are.
Oh, goodness, where do I start? As in, like, I've been in coffee. I think I worked out it's been almost 30 years now. I was the typical university college student just working in a cafe to make ends meet, and just ended up realising I loved coffee. So ended up sort of like moving my way through various roles, starting as a barista and then moving through into training and education, and then found my way through into sort of the back end in terms of manufacturing and production with roasting. So I've been had an awesome journey where I've taken part in all the barista competitions and done all, getting involved with the guilds and education committees, and worked in the US for a while, and now down here based in Melbourne, now working as a consultant and trainer.
Nice. All right, well, let's talk about the article that we published in the May-June issue, When Technology Fails.
Yes.
Tell our audience about the article.
Oh my goodness. Oh, how did it start? So I guess I'm really thankful. Again, I'm on the advisory board for Roast Magazine. I get a chance to help out with editing and writing, and Lily reached out and said, hey, I want to do an article. Have you got some ideas? And I was kind of fresh off attending the Probat Symposium last year, where it was all about technology and sustainability, and I had a chance to talk about education and implementing technology, through education. So we were sort of throwing around ideas about, some of those aspects, and we sort of landed on the idea of, well, there's such a big focus on technology. What happens when it fails? What do we fall back on in those situations? So I guess, I'd also want to, really big, the article's definitely not against, software or technology. That's definitely not the premise. It's more about, oh goodness, like those times when, all of a sudden, the computer fails, or the power goes out, or if the computer starts updating and you just lose all connection, with your software, but you're mid-roast. Right. What do you do? What are some core skills and strategies that you can rely on to get you out of that roast? So sort of started then exploring, some of the key principles and things that we focus on, and just sort of kept on landing on things. The biggest thing was our senses. We need to rely on our senses. And I guess then how do we define that? What does that look like, from a roasting perspective? So I guess the biggest message out of the article is, don't ever forget about the sensory aspect of roasting. And because it's a shame, because it does get still spoken about as being an old school technique, or it's of course it can be very subjective. But I guess the key thing is practice at being more, objective, like be better at your sensory skills. So if and when you are in the situation where something does fail, you've got the ability to get yourself out, quite easily, and not as, not be stressed. Go, oh, okay, no problem. I can't read the temperature, but I can pick up a timer. I can, jump on the sampler, have a look at where I am. Great, I can get myself out of this. And then also, making sure that we're really focusing on knowing our system, knowing our roasting machine as well. Yeah, so sort of like coming up with all the different, sort of situations and things that we could be in, and how do we get out of that? And it was really
Mm.
fun reaching out to some fellow roasters in the industry to get their perspective, and everyone sort of came back with a very similar thought process on what they would do, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much of your amazing suggestions. We want people to go read the issue, but it felt like to me like the bottom line was you have to trust your sense of smell and sight.
Yeah.
And if you learn what those parameters look like, then you can save yourself in an emergency.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also too, always reminding us from of that sustainability aspect where now more than ever we're in a time where with inflation and copies are just that little bit more expensive, and we don't want to be throwing away a batch just because we've lost the software. Like we can still roast it. We can still get ourselves out of that roast and still produce a great coffee. And I think Nick summed it up really beautifully when he said, look, it might not be as like perfect, but it's still a great product, and there really should be no bean left behind, so to speak. And then we might actually enjoy what we ended up producing, which is awesome. So yeah,
Yeah,
so it was there was some really good insight there from the other roasters.
right. And I think you kind of answered this, but how do you hope the article impacts the industry?
I think it's just always reminding us of that sensory aspect. And I think I think just reminding us of like what to do, what are the core skills and strategies that just define our craft and our skill as a roaster. And I guess not being afraid of if you're not roasting with software, it doesn't mean that you're a bad roaster. Whether you're manually writing things down or manually sensing, we've all got our own style and way of roasting. So I think that's just reassuring people that it's still it's still fine to rely on your senses, and trust yourself.
Yeah, I think it was a really great reminder that um,
Mm.
you know, we can rely on some of our old techniques to help us today.
I really had a lot of fun. I spoke to a lot of chefs actually,
Oh,
to try and get an idea about, well, what do they do, with their cooking in terms of relying on their senses. So that was, really interesting talking to them. One thing I did want to talk about was the mother sauce that they use in cooking. It's like a
oh,
universal recipe that so a chef can go and work anywhere in the world, and as long as they know the mother sauce recipe, so the basis for all the base
hmm,
like sauces, so they can go and work anywhere in the world, and they've got this basic recipe, but of course it's regionally influenced. And I'm thinking, well, why can't we have that in roasting? Why can't there be regional recipes for
yeah,
roasting? But there's this underlying universal, and that's the whole green to brown, the whole, going from green to yellow
hmm,
to roasted kind of thing. But anyway, that was like
yeah.
kind of like a thing that could follow on. But yeah, it was kind of cool. It was
Um,
really interesting talking to the chefs, because I was kind of, well, what do you do when, because I didn't realize a lot of their ovens now are profiled. They
oh, I
use,
didn't know that
yeah,
either.
no, neither did I. They use this, some of their ovens are really, really full on technology where they can set a recipe and just walk away. But of
Oh,
course, they all said when that oven fails, you've got to go back to the traditional oven and, cook, because they should
yeah,
know how to do that. So it's the same thing with roasting. When our software fails, we should still be able to rely on what we know from a basic sensory perspective. So it was kind of a similar thing, but I was very fascinated by the mother sauce, kind of like the basic recipe that every chef knows all around the world.
hmm,
Um, but of course, it just gets varied because of cultural palate, which is exactly the
yeah,
same in roasting. There's like a
exactly.
basic green to brown profile, but obviously what we do, US, Europe, Australia, Asia, whatever, it's all influenced by what we want to taste. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really, really fascinating. I kind of went off on that tangent. I went, no, 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 I can't, I can't talk about that. I've got to pull it back.
Everybody go read the article. Thank you so much, Anne, for writing the article and sharing
Thank
your
you.
expertise. We're so honored every time you put your words into the pages of Roast. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much too.